The Air Force Reserve Command is a major command of the United States Air Force, with its headquarters at Robbins Air Force Base, Georgia. It is the federally controlled air reserve component of the U.S. Air Force, consisting of duly appointed commissioned officers and enlisted airmen. AFRC supports the Air Force mission to defend the United States through the control and exploitation of air and space by supporting global engagement. AFRC also plays an integral role in the day-to-day Air Force mission and is not strictly a force held in reserve for possible war or contingency operations. Overview: the Federal Reserve component of the United States Air Force, AFRC, has approximately 450 aircraft assigned for which it has sole control, as well as access to several hundred additional active-duty USAF aircraft via AFRC associate wings that are collocated with active-duty Air Force wings, sharing access to those aircraft. The inventory includes the latest, most capable models of aircraft that are also assigned to the active-duty U.S. Air Force. On any given day, 99% of AFRC's aircraft are mission-ready and able to deploy within 72 hours. In addition to flying units, AFRC has numerous ground organizations ranging from medical units to civil engineers, intelligence and space operations, and security forces, just to name a few. The purpose of the Air Force Reserve, as derived from Title 10 United States Code, is to provide combat-ready units and individuals for active duty whenever there are not enough trained units and people in the regular component of the Air Force to perform any national security mission. Unlike the Air National Guard, the Air Force Reserve is strictly a Federal Reserve component under Title 10 of the United States Code and operates as an independent major command, i.e. Air Force Reserve Command, in combination with the Air National Guard. The Air Force Reserve comprises half of what is known as the Air Reserve component of the United States Air Force. AFRC forces are under the administrative control of the Commander, Air Force Reserve Command. When activated or mobilized, 12,302, 12,304, 12304A or 12304B. Combatant Commander authority transfers to the combatant commander to which the forces are assigned. Attach and operational control transfers to the operational chain of command established by the commander. In addition, AFRC forces are also assigned to deployable air expeditionary forces and are subject to deployment tasking orders along with their active duty, regular Air Force and part-time Air National Guard counterparts in their assigned deployment cycle window. The Air Force Reserve contains other specialized capabilities not found in regular active-duty Air Force units. For example, the Air Force Reserve conducts two unique mission sets for which it possesses the sole USAF capability: aerial spray missions at the request of local, state or federal agencies. The Air Force Reserve can conduct aerial spray missions employing insecticides or herbicides with specially equipped C-130 aircraft. Hurricane and weather reconnaissance. The Air Force Reserve maintains the Air Force's sole aerial weather reconnaissance capability, to include hurricane and typhoon penetration by its own WC-130J aircraft, augmenting the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration WP-3D fleet. A third unique mission set in the Air Force Reserve, aerial firefighting, is also conducted in tandem with the Air National Guard and has no counterpart in the regular Air Force. Certain units of the Air Force Reserve and Air National Guard can conduct forest fire and wildfire suppression missions using specially equipped C-130 Hercules aircraft using the palletized modular airborne firefighting firefighting system, along with its regular Air Force and Air National Guard partners. The Air Force Reserve also participates in national and international humanitarian assistance and disaster relief missions as directed by a higher authority, like their Air National Guard counterparts. The Air Force Reserve also supports counter-narcotics operations by performing detection and interdiction efforts outside the United States in coordination with the U.S. Coast Guard and other agencies. Reserve categories. There are several categories of service in the Air Force Reserve. Most Air Force reservists are part-time, traditional reservists who serve in the unit program, in which they are required to report for duty with the parent Air Force Reserve Command unit, typically a wing, group or squadron, at least 1 weekend a month and an additional 2 weeks a year. However, many Air Force reservists, especially those in an active flying status, serve well in excess of this minimum duty requirement, often in excess of 120 man-days a year. A smaller but equally important category of TR is the individual mobilization augmentee. IMAs are part-time Air Force reservists who are assigned to active duty Air Force units and organizations, combat support agencies, unified combatant commands and the Joint Staff to do jobs that are essential in wartime and/or during contingency operations, but do not require full-time manning during times of peace. They report for duty a minimum of 2 days a month and 12 additional days a year, but like the unit program counterparts, many IMAs serve well in excess of the minimum military duty requirement, providing multiple weeks or months of active duty Mondays in support of active duty USAF and joint commands. A smaller number of reservists serve limited tours of extended active duty in an active duty special work status, usually at headquarters staff level, in the Joint Combatant Commands, or in other special assignments. The job is to bring Air Force Reserve expertise to the planning and decision-making processes at senior levels within the Air Force, other services, and the Unified Combatant Commands, like the Air National Guard. The Air Force Reserve Command also requires 2 categories of full-time personnel to perform functions that require full-time manning. These full-time positions are filled via the same 2 programs as employed by the Air National Guard, the Active Guard and Reserve and Air Reserve Technician programs. Air Force reservists who become members of the Active Guard and Reserve receive full active duty pay and benefits just like active duty members of any branch of the armed forces. The majority of AGRs are former TRs and they serve 4-year controlled tours of special duty that can be renewed. Many AGRs serve with operational AFRC flying and non-flying wings and groups at active and reserve numbered air forces on the staffs of other USAF major commands, field operating agencies and direct reporting units on the air staff at headquarters, U.S. Air Force on the staffs of Unified Combatant Commands, on the Joint Staff and in the Office of the Secretary of Defense. AFRC recruiting is another field that employs AGR personnel. AGRs also have the option with good performance to serve 20 or more years on active duty and receive a retirement after 20 or more years, just like active members of the regular Air Force. Another category of Air Force reservists serving full-time are those in the Air Reserve Technician program. ARTs are accessed from either the active duty regular Air Force, the AGR program, traditional guardsmen in the Air National Guard, or TRs in the Air Force Reserve. ARTs carry a dual status, working for the Air Force as both full-time civil service employees and as uniformed military members in the same AFRC units where they work as Department of the Air Force civilians, performing the same job duties, although technically civil servants part of the time. All ART officers must maintain a reserve commission on the reserve active status list as a TR, and all ART enlisted personnel must maintain a current reserve enlistment as a TR as a precondition for both hiring and continued career employment as an ART. In addition, all ART officers and ART enlisted personnel wear the uniforms and utilize the rank titles at all times when on duty, regardless if they are in a DAFC status or in a drilling or active duty military status. Most ART personnel are assigned to operational AFRC flying wings, groups and squadrons in various operational flying, aircraft maintenance and other support positions and functions, up to and including wing commander. Because ARTs are not eligible for DAFC retirement until reaching age 60, and because a condition of their employment as an ART is contingent upon the maintaining an active reserve military status until reaching age 60, ARTs are not subject to the same maximum years of service limitations by pay grade that impact non-ART personnel. As such, ART personnel are permitted to remain in uniform until age 60, typically past a point that would otherwise require the retirement from military service based on rank, pay grade and years of service. Traditional reservists are categorized by several criteria in either the Ready Reserve, Standby Reserve, Inactive Ready Reserve or Retired Reserve. Ready Reserve. Approximately 74,000 trained personnel who may be recalled to active duty to augment active forces in time of war, contingency operations, or other national emergency. This category also includes all full-time ART personnel. They are predominantly assigned to the unit program or as IMAs. Standby Reserve includes reservists whose civilian jobs are considered key to national defense who have temporary disability or personal hardship. Most do not train, are not assigned to units and are typically not eligible for promotion, advancement. Individual Ready Reserve comprises members who no longer train with combat-ready reserve units, but are qualified in the fields and eligible to be recalled in the event of a national emergency. There is a small group labeled as participating AR who receive points toward military retirement, but not drill pay or annual training with pay, and are under what the Air Force Reserve designates as Category E status. Some PIR members continue to participate with existing Air Force organizations in a non-pay status or in unified combatant commands where they may be eligible to perform active duty for training, active duty for operational support, active duty special work, also known as MADAs, or voluntary mobilization to active duty with full pay and allowances. CAT-E Air Force reservists also include some 1,000 USAF Academy liaison officers, Civil Air Patrol Reserve liaison officers, chaplains, and a few other positions that require military duty, but not a fixed schedule. These CAT-E personnel can also earn active duty man days with pay just like CAT-A and B reservists, but on a more limited basis. Retired Reserve. The Retired Reserve is made up of retired personnel who receive pay after retiring from active duty or a reserve component, or are reservists awaiting retirement pay at age 60. Some exceptions are made for certain reservists mobilized to active duty since the 11th of September 2001 who may receive retirement pay earlier on a sliding scale between ages 58 and 60. The TRICARE Retiree Dental Care Program is also authorized for all retired reserve members and their families. However, eligibility for TRICARE Prime or TRICARE Standard medical coverage for retirees and their families is delayed until the retiree reaches age 60. Associate Program. A USAF Associate Unit is a unit where active duty, Air Force Reserve and Air National Guard members combine forces and missions using total force concept integration. The Air Force Reserve Command Associate Program provides trained crews and maintenance personnel for active duty-owned aircraft and space operations. This unique program pairs a reserve unit with an active duty unit to share a single set of aircraft and rests on the idea that there are more operational requirements than there are manpower to fulfill them. The Associate Reserve Program is based on providing manpower to complement the total force. Previously, an associate unit was one where the active duty owned the aircraft and the Air Force Reserve or Air National Guard wing a group co-located with the active duty unit, providing only manpower to take advantage of the synergies in aircraft. Active duty units are now being stood up at what were previously Air Force Reserve Command or Air National Guard locations, where the Air Reserve Component Organization technically owns the aircraft, but share them with an active duty squadron group, a wing that provides additional manning. This enables the Air Force to be more productive in meeting the global demands for primarily the mobility air forces. The Air Force's cargo and aerial refueling aircraft. Although the concept is now being extended to the combat air forces, the Air Force's fighter, bomber, reconnaissance, rescue and special operations aircraft as well. The result is a more cost-effective way to meet increasing mission requirements. In an active associate unit, the Air Force Reserve or Air National Guard owns the aircraft, while the active duty regular Air Force embeds a squadron group, a wing that provides air crews, aircraft maintenance and support personnel who share the responsibility of flying and maintaining the AFRC or ANG aircraft. In a traditional associate unit, Air Force reservists fly and maintain aircraft owned by the active duty regular Air Force. In many of these units, particularly in the MAP, the aircraft have been remarked to include both regular Air Force and Air Force Reserve Command or Air National Guard organizational and unit markings. A corollary unit is an Air Force Reserve or Air National Guard squadron, a group attached to an active duty squadron, a group. Associate unit reservists are most heavily concentrated in the Air Mobility Command and Fly AMC's largest airlifters, the C-5 Galaxy, and the newest AMC global airlifter, the C-17 Globemaster III, with Air Force Reserve associate crews accounting for nearly 50% of the Air Force's total C-5 and C-17 aircrew capability. AFRC also provides sole formal training unit functions in the C-5 for the regular Air Force, the Air Force Reserve, and prior to the C-5's retirement from that component, the Air National Guard. AFRC also provides aerial refueling capability with aircrews operating AMC KC-10 extenders in associate units and KC-135 stratotankers in both associate and air reserve component air mobility wings, air refueling wings and air refueling groups. Associate KC-10 units provide 50% of the KC-10 crews and contribute 50% to the maintenance force. Air Force reservists also contribute about 13% of total KC-135 aerial refueling requirements. In another alignment with AMC, more than 9,100 Air Force reservists train in the C-130 Hercules theater airlift mission in a variety of aircrew, aircraft maintenance and support skills as both standalone AFRC units and in associate arrangements with regular Air Force and Air National Guard C-130 units. In wartime, AFRC provides 23% of Air Force's total C-130 theater airlift force, with nearly half of the Air Force Reserve's airlift units flying their own unit-assigned C-130 Hercules aircraft, several of which have now integrated active associate units from the regular Air Force. The C-130's speed, range, load-carrying characteristics and capability to operate under difficult terrain conditions make it an invaluable and versatile aircraft, strong enough to deliver its cargo in unimproved landing strips. Other AMC-aligned AFRC missions involve aeromedical evacuation and special air support operations. Air Combat Command F-22A Raptor air dominance fighters, F-16 Fighting Falcon and F-15E Strike Eagle multi-purpose fighters, A-10 Thunderbolt, 2 ground attack aircraft, MQ-1 Predator remotely piloted aircraft jointly operated by CC active duty personnel and AFRC aircraft associate units. Several AFRC air and space operations centers also operate as standalone units or in associate augmentation to ACC, AMC, Pacific Air Forces, U.S. Air Forces in Europe and U.S. Air Forces Central AOCs operating the U.S. Q-163 Falconer AOC weapons system, in associate programs with the Air Education and Training Command. AFRC support undergraduate pilot training by providing instructor pilots in the T-6 Dexin-2, T-38 Talon and T-1 Jayhawk. AFRC Space Operations and Cyber Operations Associate units aligned with Air Force Space Command also operate Defense Meteorological Satellite Program, Defense Support Program and Global Positioning Systems satellites as well as various cyber warfare systems. Unit program with AFRC-owned aircraft. AFRC also operates numerous F-16 and A-10 aircraft in standalone AFRC fighter wings that are operationally gained by the Air Combat Command. AFRC's HC-130 and HH-60 combat search and rescue aircraft are also assigned to standalone flying units that are operationally aligned with ACC. A single AFRC bomb wing is equipped with the B-52 and is operationally gained by Air Force Global Strike Command. AFRC also operates standalone C-5, C-17, C-130, C-40 and KC-135 units that are operationally gained by the Air Mobility Command. The Air Force Reserve also operates the WC-130 Hurricane Hunter in the Weather Reconnaissance Mission and provides the sole USAF capability for this mission set, in tandem with Air Force Special Operations Command. AFRC previously operated the MC-130E Combat Talon I aircraft until its retirement in 2013. AFRC's sole Special Operations Wing currently operates the C-145A Skytruck and U-28, providing formal training unit functions for both the active duty Air Force and the Air Force Reserve on those aircraft. Units, nearly 70,000 reservists are assigned to specific Air Force Reserve units. These are the people who are obligated to report for duty for a minimum 1 weekend each month and 2 weeks of annual training a year, with most performing many additional days of military duty. Reserve aircrews, for example, average more than 120 military duty days a year, often flying in support of national objectives at home and around the world. Air Reserve Technicians, the special group of reservists who work as Air Force civil service employees during the week in the same jobs they hold as reservists on drill, weekends and active duty periods, provide a degree of continuity that serves to make the Air Force Reserve a relevant combat force. Arts are the full-time backbone of the unit training program, providing day-to-day leadership, administrative and logistical support, and operational continuity for the units. More than 9,500 reservists, over 15% of the force, serve full-time as ARTs. Air Force Reserve Command consists of 3 numbered air forces: 4th Air Force March Air Reserve Base, California; 10th Air Force Naval Air Station Fort Worth Joint Reserve Base, Texas; 22nd Air Force